Aretha Franklin was an American singer, songwriter, actress, and pianist. She was and is still most commonly known for her hit songs Respect, Freeway of Love, I Say a Little Prayer, and more. She will forever be remembered as the Queen of Soul, but what many don't know is that she also had a huge impact on the civil rights movement. Aretha Franklin was born on March 25th, 1942, in Memphis, Tennessee. Her mother, Barbara Franklin, was a gospel singer and pianist. Her father, C.L. Franklin, was a minister of national influence at New Bethel Baptist Church in Detroit, Michigan. He was also a civil rights activist who organized the 1963 Detroit Walk to Freedom with his good friend, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. When Aretha was 6, her parents split up, and 4 years later, her mother died. She, her father, and her 4 siblings relocated to Detroit, Michigan. As a young teen, Aretha traveled the country with her father and sang at his gospel programs. Aretha Franklin's musical gifts could be seen at a young age. She was self-taught, a gifted pianist, and had a powerful voice. She was mentored by Mahalia Jackson, a civil rights activist and the Queen of Gospel, who was also very good friends with Martin Luther King Jr. At the age of 14, Franklin recorded her first album, Songs of Faith, which was released by a small label. At age 18, Franklin moved to New York after getting her father's blessing. There, she signed with Columbia Records, and in 1961, she released the album Aretha. Her first album did not target a specific genre or age, so she struggled to achieve success. That is until she switched from Columbia Records and signed with Atlantic Records in 1966. Jerry Wexler was a record producer for Atlantic Records, and he allowed Franklin to sculpt her own musical identity. Because of this, Wexler was highly respected as a record producer. In 1967, after working with Aretha Franklin for a year and helping her succeed, he was awarded Record Man of the Year. Aretha credits Wexler's timing and her success to the fact that her and Wexler worked so well together. At Atlantic Records, Franklin returned to her gospel blue roots. She released I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, which was her first million seller. Franklin also released Respect that same year, which is one of her most well-known songs. It became an anthem for the racial and gendered political movements of the time. In Aretha Franklin's memoir, Aretha, From These Roots, when discussing her thoughts about respect, Franklin wrote, "It reflected the need of a nation, the need of the average man and woman in the street, the businessman, the mother, the fireman, the teacher. Everyone wanted respect. It was also one of the battle cries of the civil rights movement." The song took on a monumental significance. By the late 60s, Aretha Franklin was known as the Queen of Soul. Aretha Franklin was surrounded by activism in her youth and became personally and actively engaged as well when she grew up. She used her talents to help further the civil rights movement by donating to sing-in events and toured with Martin Luther King Jr. She used her voice to not only entertain, but to uplift and inspire generations through songs that have become anthems such as Respect. In 1968, Franklin performed at the funeral of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and sang Precious Lord. She was also selected later that year to sing the national anthem to begin the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. After Mahalia Jackson passed away on January 27, 1972, Franklin released her 1972 album Amazing Grace. It sold more than 2 million copies, and it was the best-selling gospel album at the time. By the late 70s, Franklin's popularity was crippling due to the rise of disco. It eroded her popularity. However, in 1982, with help from Luther Vandross, a singer, songwriter, and producer, she signed to a new label, Arista Records, and was back on top. She released Jump to It in 1982, which was a huge dance hit album, and then released Freeway of Love in 1985 with the popular rock band The Eurythmics. This record became Franklin's biggest selling album yet. Aretha continued to release albums and remained pretty popular. Her album "Aretha" was released in 1986 and eventually went gold, and her next album, "One Lord, One Faith, One Baptism", won the Grammy for Best Soul Gospel Performance. Her final studio album, "So Damn Happy", was released in 2003. She then left Arista Records and founded Aretha Records. Franklin wanted to be in charge of her own sound. 8 years after founding her own record label, she released "A Woman Falling Out of Love". In 2017, Aretha Franklin said in an interview, "I must tell you, I am retiring this year. I feel very, very enriched and satisfied with respect to where my career came from and where it is now. I'll be pretty much satisfied, but I'm not going to go anywhere and just sit down and do nothing. That wouldn't be good either." On August 16, 2018, Aretha Franklin lost her battle to pancreatic cancer. She was 76 years old. Franklin was mourned not only by her fans of her music, but by those who worshipped her role in the civil rights movement. She reportedly had a net worth of $80 million, but left no will. However, before Franklin died, she chose singer and actress Jennifer Hudson to play her in an upcoming movie. The movie will focus on Franklin during the 60s and 70s. The film was originally set to be released on August 14th, 2020, but it has now been pushed back to January 15th, 2021. Aretha Franklin had many accomplishments during her 61-year-long career. Until Franklin's retirement in 2017, she released 131 singles, 42 studio albums, 6 live albums, and 45 compilation albums. She sold a total of 75 million albums worldwide. In the United States, she had 25 certified gold albums and 4 certified platinum albums. Until March of 2017, Franklin had more records on Billboard's Hot 100 chart than any other female artist. Franklin won 18 Grammy Awards and was the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987. She also received a Kennedy Center Honor in 1994, a National Medal of Arts in 1999, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2005. Her legacy as the Queen of Soul will continue to live on.